The first thing I noticed wasn't the comment, it was how easily the table made space for it. We were halfway through the main course, plates half finished, conversation moving in that careful, celebratory rhythm people adopt when they're trying to prove something is going well. My brother sat at the center of it, not speaking much, but being listened to anyway. His fiancée filled the gaps graceful, efficient, always just a little ahead of everyone else. I had timed my part poorly. Or maybe exactly right. The envelope stayed in my coat pocket longer than I intended. I kept touching it, not out of nerves, but to remind myself it was real. That I hadn't imagined the gesture into something bigger than it was. It wasn't extravagant. It wasn't a show. It was a photographer already booked. A partial venue deposit covered. 5,000 wired and waiting so they wouldn't have to start from zero. Quiet scaffolding. The kind of help you don't have to announce. I didn't stand when I gave it. I didn't toast. I just leaned slightly forward and slid the card toward them, like passing salt. My brother looked confused at first, then curious. He opened it slowly. I watched his eyes move, not widen, not sparkle, just process. She leaned in beside him, and then she smiled. It was the correct smile. Measured. Appreciative. The kind you'd use in a room where impressions mattered. "Wow," she said softly. Then, just a little quieter, but not quiet enough. "He's really trying to matter again." No one reacted fast enough to stop it from landing. That was the part I noticed, not shock, not outrage, just a slight tightening around the table. A few eyes dropping. Someone taking a sip of water they didn't need. My brother didn't correct her. He didn't laugh either, which almost made it worse. He just let it sit there, like something that didn't quite belong to him. For a moment I waited. Not for an apology. I think I knew better than that. Just for friction. For someone to push back, even gently. To say that wasn't fair, or not necessary, or just badly timed. Nothing came. And that's when it became clear. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a position I'd been placed in a long time ago, useful, when I contributed, suspect when I didn't. Every gesture filtered through that lens. Every silence interpreted as absence. I reached forward and took the card back. No hesitation. No drama. Just a simple reversal of motion. She blinked, still smiling, like she hadn't quite caught up to what was happening. I stood up, smoothing my coat without thinking about it. "Let me try less," I said. Not sharp, not loud. Just enough to replace what she'd said with something that belonged to me. No one stopped me when I left. The hallway outside the restaurant was quieter than it should have been. I remember noticing the hum of the air conditioning, the faint clatter from the kitchen, the way the door closed behind me without resistance. I didn't rush. I walked out like I hadn't forgotten anything. They didn't call me immediately. That part felt consistent. 10 minutes, maybe a little more. I was halfway down the block when my phone buzzed. Not them. Never them first. A notification from the venue. Short, professional, confirming cancellation. Not emotional, not retaliatory, just procedural. The booking had been under my account. The deposit tied to my authorization. The continuation contingent on confirmation that never came. I had set it up that way deliberately. Not as leverage, at least, not consciously at the time. Just as a way to keep things simple, controlled, clean. Now it was something else. By the time they called the fiancé directly, I was already in my car. I didn't hear that conversation, but I can imagine its shape, the initial confusion, the attempt to correct it. There must be a mistake. The shift in tone when policy replaces flexibility. The realization that no one in that room actually had control over what they thought they did. I imagine my brother trying to step in then, late, careful, wanting to fix something he hadn't defended earlier. I imagine her recalibrating, fast, looking for a way to reframe it without losing ground. But systems don't care about tone. Policies don't respond to smiles. My phone rang again, his name this time. I let it ring. Not out of spite, just because I didn't know what version of myself would answer. The one who explained, who softened it, who made it easier for them to understand, or the one who didn't. I wasn't interested in choosing between those two versions anymore. So I chose neither. I drove home. It didn't explode after that, no dramatic fallout. No long messages filled with accusations. Just a quiet, thinning. Texts that became more formal. Invitations that stopped assuming I'd say yes. Conversations that avoided anything with weight. Once, a few weeks later, he sent a message, "We should talk." I read it. I didn't respond. Not because there was nothing to say, but because I wasn't sure he wanted to hear it. What stayed with me wasn't the comment. It was how easily it fit into the room, how quickly something genuine could be translated into something smaller, and how long I had accepted that translation. I didn't feel like I'd taken anything from them. If anything, I'd just stopped holding something up. They would rebuild, find another venue, another way forward, maybe even a better one. People always do. As for me, I stopped bringing envelopes to places where I had to explain why they mattered. And, for the first time in a while, that felt like enough.